everybody. Today I'm going to be showing you a video on how I transformed a quilt that was basically rotting and had lots of stains. It was forgotten, and I turned it into something beautiful. And I have a bunch of videos that I have prepared for you, and so I'd like to invite you to watch them. All right, so just before we go into our first what I'm going to show you, I'm just going to tell you quickly, are you living the life that you want to live? I want to ask you that question. Do you feel like when you wake up in the morning, you're energized, you're happy, you feel purpose? When you go to bed at night, are you feeling accomplished? Because if you're not, I invite you to keep watching my videos because I am a life coach that helps women live a life that's a lot more enjoyable. So I will be sprinkling life coaching as I go through this. So just as a heads up. Okay. So in 2022, I went to Quilt Festival in Houston and I turned 49. And I thought, what would be a really awesome birthday present? Well, a quilt, of course. So in fact, what makes it even more awesome? 4 quilts. So I bought 4 vintage quilts and I will link who I bought them from. Tenny, hello, big shout out to her. She has an incredible collection. And I transformed those quilts. Now, I understand that some people don't agree with cutting up quilts. You are totally allowed to have your own opinion, 100%. I'm choosing for my life to take these quilts that otherwise would probably be found in a landfill. The mother dies, the grandma dies, they don't know what to do with it. They take it to a thrift store or they throw it away. So this is my way of keeping these quilts in circulation and keeping them beautiful. Another consideration when I'm making these quilts is they're often called cutter quilts because they do have stains, they do have issues, they have problems. And so they're not necessarily perfect for using again and again because of those stains and problems that they have. So I am going to be sharing with you this quilt that I created. Now, I bought this, so this is the quilt that I bought. And as you can see, it has these flower sack designs, beautiful, really, really fun. I love the binding on it. I wouldn't necessarily choose these colors myself, but they have this really fun binding and it's actually all hand stitched. And I absolutely love the inside fabric. It is so beautiful. I would love a dress out of it. So tell me, would you want a dress out of this fabric? So awesome. Now, as you can see, I still have some of this left and I am making decisions on what I'm going to use with it. So that is now, I have more to play with. But this is what I decided to make with this quilt. So I'll just take off my cardigan here. So I made a quilt coat. Now, some of you have been asking what pattern I use, and I will be doing a little episode on those. So this is the quilt coat that I made. It's oversized. I'm gonna just it's gonna move. Here we go. So it's a little bit oversized. I made a little puff sleeve, which is kind of adds a little bit of fun to it. I probably could have made it a little bit like not so wide on this part, but so I could do like a pin here or something. I actually inherited a bunch of brooches from my grandma, so that could be something I can do. Now, I also made these larger pockets here that I love, and I actually wore this when I was traveling, so it was perfect for my passport and my phone, so that was really great. And it goes just below my rear, so it's nice and warm when I'm traveling, and it just feels super cozy. And so I'm gonna give you some tips in the construction of these quilts. Now, when you're cutting the quilts, obviously you have to be really considerate of the trouble areas, right? Like if they have holes or stains. I will be doing a video on one of my favorite ways of washing these and getting those stubborn stains out. So When you're cutting the quilt, I recommend that you use the binding that's already there, because it keeps you from doing one less stop. So one less step. So this binding is adorable. I really love how it trims it up. The sleeve I made just a little bit long. And so that's something I could change. But then I do like just folding it up, and it has this, and it highlights the beautiful fabric. So I have these nice cuffs, I can do it that way. So you could stitch those down. You could put a hem on there, but I just decided to stitch, so keep it nice and flat. And then as you can see, I use this binding on the front and along the bottom as well. And then I was able to use for the pockets, so now I don't have to line the pockets. I was able to just use that binding there. So I have that nice issue. Now, with the neckline, I'll just highlight that. So I actually ended up using some of the scraps from the existing quilt. This did add a little extra bulk, and I'll be showing some other options in other quilts. And so part of me likes it, but the other part, it's a little bit bulky around the neckline. So I may or may not do that again. But it did have a nice finish. The other thing that I did with this quilt was I stitched down the seams here. And so these lay nice and flat. All right, so this, and then of course you can see the fun details of the gathered sleeve up here. Now, as you can, some of the piecing, some of it is coming apart. So if you want to go back and just give it some reinforcement, you can. But so I would just recommend to play with it. And it's one of the tips that I would give you now when you are making a quilt coat. The first one I ever did, I just used a quilt that I wasn't super happy with. And so I cut that up. The other thing I've done to do some pattern testing is I've got just like a whole cloth quilt that I got at a thrift store, and I cut this one up, and this one I kind of used as a pattern to decide if it's going to work for me or not, if I like the length, if I like the look. And again, for this one, the bottom, I used the existing hem. So you can also cut this up, and then when you stitch it together, use a looser stitch so that you can easily take apart, and then you can readjust the pattern. And then what I recommend is just getting some butcher paper and then cutting, once you got it how you want it, then you can start making your own templates so that you know, okay, this is what I like, this is what I'm looking for. All right, so those are some suggestions and tips for using those quilts that would probably be in a landfill or wherever. And so stay tuned for more. And the last thing I'm going to say before I say goodbye is, when you make your life more interesting, when you go and say, for example, you're going to like Quilt Festival, or you're going to the thrift store, or you're going, I'm going to show you a quilt that I found on Facebook Marketplace and transformed. So when you start living a life that's not just focused all on food and on people pleasing and on perfectionism and procrastination, your life becomes more full and you feel more satisfied. And that's going to help you to feel a lot happier every day. I'd love to hear your comments, especially on what are the things you're doing in your life right now. I want to hear it, that are bringing you joy. Okay? So share those in the comments below. See you in the next video.